What is the likelihood that Tony Pollard is tagged by March 7th?
He is the number one priority for the Cowboys, and as we know, they like to sign their own. So above anybody on any team, anywhere, the first guy that the Cowboys want is a Cowboy. The debate, though, rages on. I don't think it's a debate anymore between Tony Pollard versus Dalton Schultz. I think the Cowboys have kind of decided Dalton Schultz it's not an insult.
Yeah.
He's made himself into a fine player, but they have two kids on the roster that can do some things. That's a $14 million tight end somewhere else. Maybe you let Dalton Schultz go somewhere else and take your compensatory pick in the future.
Right.
With Tony Pollard, the ideal thing would be to use the tag as a placeholder and then go get a long-term contract with him that didn't cost you $10 million a year plus. Because you look around kind of at the price tags on other guys. Somebody brought up, I think DallasCowboys.com brought up, how about Kareem Hunt, the 1B running back with the Browns?
Right.
Well, the spot track projection on him is $7 million a year. Right. Well, I'd rather have Tony Pollard for 10 than have Kareem Hunt for 7. But Saquon Barkley, the projection on him might be, in fact, I think the Giants are offering him 12.
Right.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong about Tony Pollard a lot. Is Saquon Barkley better than Tony Pollard? He is, right? I think.
Right, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah. And then there's the overlapping and the overriding argument on all these names. Has the NFL maybe learned from the Ezekiel Elliott contract that, and that was a unique circumstance, that you just don't need to spend 10 or 12 or $15 million on a running back, that there's other ways to do this. I think Cowboy fans would be upset if Tony Pollard left.
Yeah.
But if you use that $10 million wisely somewhere else, maybe you'd get over your upsetness. I think the Cowboys will end up tagging him. That's their history. After what they did with Dalton Schultz last year, I think that's a suggestion of what they will do with Tony Pollard this year.
So likelihood is high.
I think the likelihood's high, and I think the likelihood is Tony Pollard is here and is happy. But all these price tags, and I say this a lot, this is really a Dak Prescott centered conversation, but it applies to every contract. Is $10 million for Tony Pollard too much? If you never win big, it is.
That's true.
If it never pays off in, let's say around here now, let's just call it an NFC Championship game. If Tony Pollard plays here for 5 years and they never go to an NFC Championship game, he will have been paid too much.
Right. Do the Dallas Cowboys have the right personnel to run Mike McCarthy's West Coast offense?
This is a great question because, Bree, there are people that think McCarthy's doing this for McCarthy. And there's, to some degree, you want to captain your own ship. And
bring in your own guys.
Absolutely. We're seeing that all over the place. And if the ship is going to go down, and most of them do in the NFL, not in the ocean, actually, but in the NFL, most ships eventually go down. I want to be in charge of it. I want to go down doing it my way. But he would not have installed this, and they're in the process of installing the West Coast offense. He wouldn't have done it if it was ill-fitting. There are coaches that have done that. Bill Parcells will do that. He'll roll into town, and we're playing my defense. I don't care what you guys are used to. If you remember when McCarthy first came here, he could have put in the West Coast offense then, but didn't because he saw that Dak and Kellen and the language were working. Now here we are 3 years later, and he wants it to work better. So I think it's an unselfish move in a way, that the body of work with Mike McCarthy. It's unselfish what he's done to get him here. But, you know, CeeDee Lamb can excel in a West Coast offense. I think Michael Gallup will be better in a West Coast offense. Tony Pollard, assuming he's still around here, in a horizontal passing game where running backs become wide receivers, Tony Pollard is maybe more dangerous than ever. So I absolutely think it'll work, and Mike McCarthy's track record in Green Bay and beyond says it'll work.
That was a little fantasy football tip there, maybe. If you see Tony Pollard in there in the West Coast offense, a bit of draft.
You know, people talk about him not only as one of the top 3 running backs in this free agency class, as one of the top 3 players. And listen, we can argue about it, but the numbers are inarguable. And the eye test is pretty good too. The splash plays, he did that as well as anybody. And then I do think he proved, can he run between the tackles? Can he carry a load? Well,
is he durable?
Right. It's a funny question because people that are asking that must not have looked at the stat sheet. He had more snaps than Zeke. So if Zeke is durable enough to have this many snaps, and Tony Pollard is durable enough to have this many snaps, then Tony Pollard must be durable enough.
Right, absolutely. Mike, let's continue to talk about the Cowboys offense. Do you feel that quarterback Dak Prescott's success is reliant on these decisions to be made at the running back position?
Yeah. Is the running back going to make Dak, or is Dak going to make the running backs? And
did the chicken come before the egg?
Right. Okay, let's go to Green Bay.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's old haunt. Aaron Rodgers made the running backs, and that takes nothing away from, the James Starks, the 6th-round pick kind of guys who led the team in rushing. But that was about Aaron Rodgers' presence. Had that team not had a great quarterback, those guys wouldn't have done what they did, the running backs. Let's go to Kansas City.
Yep.
They have Patrick Mahomes. The argument would be, well, the reason they can get away with having Pacheco, a 7th-round rookie, at running back is because they have Mahomes. It's not fair to ask Dak Prescott, well, then why don't you just do that? Why don't you just be like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, and then we'll just have a jag at running back too. But I think Dak Prescott is good enough in an offense that has weapons and balance that every single skill position doesn't get to be a superstar weapon. That's not cap friendly.
Right.
It's cap possible, but not cap friendly. So you can have 3 CeeDee Lambs and 2 Jason Wittens and a Tony Pollard and an Ezekiel Elliott in his prime.
Yeah.
No, something's got to give somewhere. I think running back is a place where it probably ends up giving, unless they end up giving Tony Pollard the big money.
DeAndre Hopkins worked out with Dez Bryant in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and of course that made a whole bunch of splash and a bunch of rumors. What kind of trade rumors are you hearing about the Dallas Cowboys? Which do you find the most interesting?
Yeah, it made a big splash, of course, because CowboysSI.com wrote about it, and we talked about it. It's still, if you go search it, it's I don't think anybody's quite sniffed out exactly what was going on there, and then hasn't had time to analyze what it means.
Yeah.
First of all, obviously, Dez is universally friendly
with,
and you know this, and I've known this for a long time, especially with the wide receiver guys. Those are his guys.
Right.
So the chance to just go lift weights with DeAndre Hopkins, which is part of what they did. They were at Louisville High School, my old stomping ground. And it appears to us as though they went there for some sort of kids camp, or maybe even an impromptu kids camp.
Right. Hey, you're in the area. I'm doing this. Why don't you come on by?
I looked and looked and looked. And I asked Dez too, like for an announcement. Where was the announcement to sign up for the DeAndre Hopkins camp? And I never saw that.
Right.
So maybe it just kind of happened. It does not mean that makes DeAndre Hopkins a Cowboy connection.
A Cowboy is not happening yet.
That's not what it means. But it doesn't not mean that can't be a thing.
Right. That's why they call it a rumor.
Yeah, right. And we can put some facts and attach them to the rumor and see if we can make sense of this. Because I know, that's clickbait. It's not clickbait if we can present facts to you about what's going on with DeAndre Hopkins. They are interested in moving him in Arizona. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated said it might not take a 1st-round pick. It might be a 2nd-day pick. You mean a 2nd or 3rd-round pick and get me DeAndre Hopkins? What are the cap ramifications? And I've tried to kind of get to the bottom of that. Can I not? Is there some way that I don't have to pay him $27 million? Can I pay him $19 million? How painful will it be for Arizona to trade him away cap-wise? I think it would be painful. Why are they giving up DeAndre Hopkins?
These are all great questions.
Right. So you can't get to the questions before you bring up the issue.
Right.
So we think it's important to bring up the issue, and then we'll continue to examine the questions. One more thing. The Cowboys' search for wide receiver help is real. And I've talked to a number of people in this building now. And again, the way I'll phrase this, I'm not saying they're all googly-eyed and drooling over it, but
they're interested.
There's a nod of the head when the question is, would you guys like to upgrade in a big way, somehow, some way, at wide receiver? This building nods its collective head.
I'm Bria Moranthus with Mike Fisher. We're here at the Star for the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year Award. This has become one of my favorite events to cover. What do you think is going to happen tonight?
Well, the biggest thing for you is you get to hang around with a Duck.
Yeah, Alex Forsythe.
Tell us a little bit about him.
He's the center for Oregon. He's going to be a great NFL draft selection for whoever ends up getting him, because not only hard worker on the field, but one of those locker room guys, just like Jason Witten.
There you go.